Okay, so I'm Nicole. I'm a clinical sexologist in training. I'm also something called a sensate focus therapist, and sensate focus was developed in the research lab of Masters and Johnson's. That was in California in about the 60s, 70s, and they were the first people to really measure the human sexual response. And in that process, they realized that there is no such thing as a sexual problem. There are just sexual dysfunctions, and these can be healed through integrative therapy. So I like to really think of it as like algebra. You know, if you don't know pre-algebra, or something happened and you like blocked it out and had a trauma, you can't do algebra. You can't do calculus. And that's sort of how pleasure and intimacy work as well. So, yeah, so I'd like to start off just saying, you know, our MRKH does not limit our ability to give and receive pleasure. And I think it's really important to think about the fact that it is a give and take. And yeah, so moving to the next slide. So really, like, pleasure is often associated with the idea of, you know, I'm having an orgasm, I'm gonna have sex, I'm gonna do this, but pleasure is a lot more than that. I put some examples, you know, a puppy that makes you smile, or, you know, a second chocolate, or whatever you like. If you don't like chocolate, cool breeze, you know, like on your face, hot. When you're tickled and butterfly in the arms of someone you fancy. And it also is, you know, like hanging out or hugging or, you know, having orgasms or just engaging in any kind of like personal act in that way. And, you know, it's one thing also I like to add thinking about what is sex. A big problem with kind of our society is that we have been socialized to believe that sex is penetration. Really cool thing I've learned in my studies is there's a much higher rate of sexual satisfaction between the hormone partners in same-sex couples, and they don't even use penetration for most of that. Really interesting. And I also, okay, next slide. There we go. So I want to talk about the fact that pleasure is a multi-sense. So really think, you know, what smells can make you more comfortable. And this is something that can be really useful in dilation or in getting more comfortable with your partner and communicating things. You know, you can put an incense so that every time you get in that situation, you're like, oh, this is a reminder that I'm safe. This smell is always here to give me the safety, or it prepares my body physically. Sight, you know, touch, feelings, taste. All of these are kind of involved because these things will be in your surroundings while you're having these situations. And I want to reiterate again about pleasure being a give and take. And it's something very much where when the mind and body are like quiet and serene, we can allow ourselves to receive pleasure. And when we're stuck in our heads, you know, we create this block, and it's like, oh no, I don't hold it in. And that's what like it's really about is creating this comfort in yourself where you can have tools for this, which might be, I like to look at things like purple wall, you know, light up there, here, breathing exercises. There's so many things you can do. Put songs into yourself. So I just, you know, I just want to say, you know, just learning slowly to allow it in, and it doesn't have to be just sexual. And that's why taking the pre-algebra kind of steps of like getting comfortable touching hands with people, or taking more time to eat slowly, to cherish your meal time, to do things like that. And real quick, I'll also add the fact that our bodies do hold physical trauma inside. And a lot of times what I find with my clients is I work in a triad. This is how it was developed. So sex therapist who's doing neck up therapy. I myself do neck down therapy, and we kind of reprogram the body's response to touch. Because when we go through these traumas, we're like, oh no, you know, we've been through the medicalizations of our bodies. So sometimes you're gonna clam up. So it's one of those things you say, it's okay, I'm safe, I'm gonna let this in. Here, and just also to kind of say it's not just MRKH that makes us not experience pleasure. Pretty much everyone's dealing with that because we live in this very fast-paced world. So I've already talked a little bit about this, you know, allowance, blockages, and it might seem a little hippie, but it has been scientifically proven, now that meditation, things like this can really make a difference. And again, I've said it, but I can't say it enough times. You want to get out of your head and into your body and really explore what tools can allow you to do that. And I'll say for myself, like having MRKH has certainly given me a better sensual sense of self, a better sex life than I would have otherwise. So thank you. Not finished. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Let's see. Oh yeah, and LMA talked about this already quite a bit, but the vaginal canal is not the main source of pleasure, and so this before negative sex messages have what's otherwise in media everywhere, but now we're learning that's not true. Oh yeah, so LMA already showed this a bit. So I guess y'all know now. yeah. So it's the clitoris. This is where you get all of your pleasure sensation in the genital area. And I just love the idea. It's one thing I'm saying, everyone's like, oh, what we're doing, they draw penises everywhere. Well, I like to say now, I'm like, oh my God, it's so erect right now. Because really it's the same thing. Like that is exactly like the penis, the clitoral head, and that's just a little bit sticking out. And when you get all swollen inside, you need more. And so I also think people should draw more clitorises to go next to all the just to be like, women, are we've already said that. And one thing I want to say about this real quick is really explore things. Once you get to a point of intimacy with a partner, there's so many things you can do, to explore down there. And I guess I think we need to have a whole class on what some of the options are. But just like literally just be like, I'm gonna touch your legs for an hour, or let's massage each other. Read to me in the bathtub. This is all intimacy, which gets there. And quickly, like, how are we allowing our pleasure in? It's a daily practice. Again, going back to how you eat your food. How do you allow yourself to slow down? And this is the thing with every physical exercise I do with my clients. It's you start with the hands, kind of, because our hands have the same amount of nerve endings as the penis does. The clitoris has one. But so it's really about waking up your hands, and we'll go 3-4 times and you're like, oh, I don't know. It's like slow down. If we're gonna do it again with a timer, slow down and then they get it. And extra information, timers are amazing. If you want to be like, let's do a leg massage or something like that. It's going to end, and you don't have to be like, should I stop now? I don't know what to do. So timers are magic, and I think for dilation as well. Are we low on time? Okay. Oh yeah, just like this. That is pleasure. She's just hanging out, letting herself have pleasure. But if that's pleasure. Yeah. And yeah, this is talking a little bit, I mentioned it a bit, but relaxation is your ultimate building block. So this is really, no pressure to do anything sexual. If you want to do it, something, it's literally like just start learning how to relax, learning how to teach yourself when you're in a situation like that, oh, this is okay. I have taught my body a new response, and it's not always going to be there. Like going through something like this, you're always going to have moments where you're like, oh my God, it doesn't go away. So it's all about your toolbox and practice. Next. Yep. Okay, I already said that. Yeah. And then, like pleasure is a human right. You deserve it. And it's something that I think you can find in many avenues of your day.